straight possession. Crockett bangs inside the 10-yard line. Now Cannell. Firing complete to the 4-yard line. Because of this great comeback, or 2 in the victory. The staff has to make it up against the blitz. Touchdown, Florida State! Rock Preston scores the touchdown, and now it's Bowden's decision. And he sends Mowry onto the field right away. Danny Cannell is the holder. Would he? No. Mowry tags it. 1-4.
All right, folks. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. It's Rivalry Week, everybody. Everybody loves this time of year. When you got the state of Florida battling each other and Notre Dame and Stanford playing each other. You got everybody in there really looking for these wonderful trophies they had after one. I think the Wisconsin, George, I think Wisconsin's playing somebody for the old brown jug, right?
It's all about the jug, man.
But, so we're here. Big show this week here on the program. We're waiting for Bernie Rivas, who is the executive director of the Cotton Bowl. He should not Cotton Bowl, the Sun Bowl. The Cotton Bowl is down in Dallas. We were talking about Cotton Bowl last week. We'll talk to Bernie hopefully by phone. I just called him. Hopefully he'll be up shortly. And then at 7:45, Kristen Campbell, who's from the Earl Campbell Award, the son of Earl Campbell, who used to run wild in the 70s with the Houston Oilers. He'll be joining us at 7:45. And then we got a treat for you, folks. Steve Tasker, former Buffalo Bills great special teams guy who basically invented special teams. He does all the stuff for the Buffalo Bills on the radio. He will be joining us at 8 o'clock tonight. So I'm Chris Heidel. This is Steve Zilich. That's George Bashara here on a 2 days before Thanksgiving. I think everybody's getting themselves ready. I think George is getting ready for Thanksgiving. He's been feasting. He's been what? You haven't had any food for 4 days?
What was that?
Have you had anything to eat in 4 days, or are you still getting yourself ready for Thanksgiving?
Oh, dude, there is no big meal this year. We're actually bringing dinner in because we're leaving on Friday. So it'll only be 2.5 pounds of turkey, 2.5 pounds of this, and gravy, and we'll be doing our turkey probably for Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. So
how about you?
Oh, we're going to be going to Nicole's parents' house for Wegmans to go. It's like, yeah, processed turkey. It might be okay. I haven't had that before, but
processed turkey. It's not Jenny Loaf. It's not Jenny O.
Yeah, that's right.
And Steve, what are you doing? Thanksgiving.
Went over to my cousin's house, so she's doing Thanksgiving dinner over there. So everybody's going over there Thursday about 4 o'clock. So
that's true. So let's talk about the Sun Bowl. That's everybody's back to normal this year. They didn't play last year because of the pandemic going on. But the year before that, my Seminoles had a chance to beat Arizona State, but some guy named Blackman decided to throw to the wrong guy. Blackman, the quarterback for Florida State, decided to throw to the wrong dude. Wrong helmet, buddy. Yeah, so we lost.
Isn't that the same guy who threw to the wrong team who ran back the touchdown for the other team?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, just a lot of people doing that. So the Sun Bowl is George. Do you realize the Sun Bowl is the 88th version of the Sun Bowl, and this is the second longest broadcast on CBS besides the Masters.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's like wow. I was like, that's really interesting, and they had some great games over the years. There's a short video. Let me play it real quick. Hopefully we'll get Bernie on here. So here's the short video real quick.
Trophy winners play in our Sun Bowl football game with Tony Dorsett, a big Dallas Cowboy. He played here with Pittsburgh. Barry Sanders, who was a tremendous football player in the NFL. He was a Heisman Trophy winner that played here. We had Carson Palmer, who's still playing. Some of the best games we ever had was that Texas-North Carolina game in 1994. And you can't forget the 1987 Oklahoma State-West Virginia game that ended with about 5 inches of snow on the ground. I guess the biggest thrill since I've been here is watching Notre Dame run out the tunnel. Trophy winners play in our summer.
Yeah, so basically that's they had pretty cool games. It's the ACC against the Pac-12, or back then it was Pac-10, but now it's Pac-12. But looks like right now the qualifications. I think I saw some write-ups. It could be Clemson going out there to the Sun Bowl.
Yeah, I'm just looking at myself. It looks like this was as of last week. Clemson versus UCLA.
Wow.
That was as of November 12th.
Okay.
Clemson versus UCLA.
Yeah. Well, if you're in the Miami Hurricanes, you don't want to go out there because the last time you've been out there, it's been snowing and you got destroyed by Washington State and Notre Dame. So I think you may want to stay at home and go where somewhere warm. Yeah,
yep, for sure.
Yeah, but Notre Dame was out there. Like I said, against Miami a couple years ago. That was a good, ticket seller for them because at that time Notre Dame and Miami didn't play each other until right now. Yeah.
Notre Dame travels well regardless of where they go.
Yeah. So, Steve, what do you think about the Sun Bowl? You probably saw some of these games on. This is always December 31st. It's always New Year's Eve, and it's right before everybody gets ready for their parties and all that stuff. So,
Yep.
Do you remember any games that you watched, over time?
I know one of the big key pivotal ones I watched. This was a few years ago, and I believe it was between your Seminoles and the Hurricanes, or it was either vice versa, but it was one of those.
Okay.
And I was over at Will's house, and you and Will were constantly smack talking more than you were watching the game.
Hey.
I'm just sitting there like, will these two ever grow up?
Hey, Will still thinks he's in the 90s. I told him the other day, time for him to grow up because I think there's nobody. He still talks about the 90s, how Miami was so great. I'm like, dude, you're like the guy from the Bud Light commercial.
Yeah, I think you need to catch up on your timeline there, buddy.
He was like the Bud Light commercial, George. Real men are genius. We salute you, Hurricane fan.
Yeah. Sorry, Will, if you're watching this.
That's all right. We'll understand. But they're going bowling. But hey, Florida State has to play Florida this week, and Florida fired a head coach over the weekend.
Yeah, saw that.
Yeah, I thought Dan Mullen was going to get fired after giving up 55 points to Stanford in a university from Alabama.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get canned after that game.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's everything's just really weird right now. I mean, everyone's talking about different coaches leaving, and right now, fan base has got to realize, with coaches that are in discussions, if a coach leaves a program, there go your recruits. So if you talk about you're excited about your commitments coming in, and a coach decides to pack it up and go to another school, you could just kiss your recruiting class goodbye.
Well, now you got openings at Florida and LSU, and you got other schools looking for coaches too. Now, if you're what's the name from Oklahoma, which one are you going to pick?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Bob Stoops should go. I know Bob Stoops is in the broadcast at Fox now, and he's enjoying it. But I truly think Bob Stoops should go to Florida because he was a Gator before he went out to Oklahoma.
Well, there's always that possibility, right? You're always coming home.
Yeah. Or if you're Jimbo Fisher, you start talking about how you love LSU and realize you're still at Texas A&M. Because that sounds like something we saw a couple years ago, a repeat or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like he started talking about Texas A&M. I'm like, oh, am I leaving? I'm staying at Florida State. And all of a sudden, he threw out his Christmas tree and went to College Station.
He moved out overnight.
Exactly. There was a picture on Twitter of him getting somebody threw his Christmas tree out of the trash can, and it was still perfect Christmas tree with everything still on it. Like he threw it. I'm like, really?
I'd be all over that garbage pile, man.
Oh, yeah, George would be like, "Ooh, I got Jimbo stuff." Yeah. Thanks, Jimbo. I don't have to go to Home Depot.
Can I give you a beef for a second?
Sure, go ahead, beef. Go ahead, beef time.
I am really frustrated with this college football bowl series. There should be no games between the college football playoffs, okay, and the national championship game. On January 4th, you have the Texas Bowl, okay? Why does at that point in time, why does Kansas State and Arkansas get a better viewing day than any other team by your New Year's Six and your college football playoff teams. Why would you put a game in between there? That makes that.
Yeah.
Why would you put any games after the New Year's Six other than the national championship game?
I think that's just ridiculous. I think that's just dumb.
That's the stupidest thing in the world. And I remember bringing it up I think it was last year when I was in on the press conference.
Uh-huh.
That slate needs to be done. Your top teams have played. There's no need to be sticking a Kansas State and Arkansas in between your New Year's Six and the college football playoff,
Right.
The national championship game.
It's
No
ridiculous.
business.
It's ridiculous. It's stupid. Yeah, and
Drop one of the other ridiculous, the donut hole bowl, and move that game back. Going to a bowl game nowadays, it's participation trophies. You get a participation trophy. You get a participation trophy. Everybody gets to go to a bowl.
I totally
God.
Hey, I agree with you. It's like I was looking at the publication last week. Miami versus Florida in the Garza, whatever that bowl game down in Tampa, the one that they moved from Ray's Stadium to Raymond James Stadium. And I said to my brother Will, like, "Do you want to go to that game?" He goes, "I don't want to go there." I'm like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "That's where your team's ending up." Because, yeah, but it's going to be a big game for a little bowl game to get themselves noticeable now. Like, wow, Miami and Florida are playing each other. Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, it's
the
ridiculous.
one I'm not sure how long this one's been around, but this one just caught my eye. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl. I love potato bowls, dude. Don't get me wrong. Give me some sour cream, give me some cheese and some chives and some bacon. That's a potato bowl.
And it's funny also, there's a bowl game called Frisco Bowl, and JMU is going to the Sun Bowl, and that's one of the bowl games that the Sun Belt is part of. Way to go, JMU. You want to go to the Sun Belt, but you get the bowl game. You go to Frisco, Texas, where you won a national title a couple years ago. Way to go.
I love the list. And it goes other bowls. Yep, there's a salad bowl. There's a cereal bowl.
Yeah.
It's out of control. Yeah. These bowl games mean nothing nowadays.
Exactly. Well, let's get Bernie on here real quick. This is a fantastic bowl game out there in El Paso. Hey, Bernie, how you doing?
Oh, doing well. Sorry I'm a little late. I had another interview to do, and it went a little long.
That's okay. Thanks for making some time. We got Kristen Campbell, in the bullpen, so he'll be coming out really shortly. But we were just talking about bowl games. How George just went on a rampage, like talking about how why are they playing bowl games after the New Year's, all the New Year's Six bowls are over? It's like, what's the sense of doing that?
Hey, those bowl games mean a lot to everybody. There's more than those 6 games and more than the national championship. You got 130 teams out there that are really working hard been working hard all year, and they qualify to a bowl, and it's a great experience for football teams, a great reward for all these players that put in a lot of hard work. So it doesn't matter when before or after the championship game. There's only 2 out of 130 that can play the championship game, so it wouldn't be right for just 2 teams to play. So we're the bowl season is awesome, and like I said, it's a great experience for the football players, football teams, and the fans as well, schools.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bernie, I was watching a video today. You put out a video a couple of years ago with when you had Hyundai as your sponsor, and you had this whole video about how you had all the great running backs. Like, I played a little clip of it, with Tony Doucette and all those people. Like Barry Sanders played there as well at the Sun Bowl. I didn't realize this is the second longest broadcast on CBS behind the Masters. I think you told me that. But it's pretty cool that you're the second longest broadcast on CBS behind the Masters. And you're thinking over the years with all the great programs like Monday Night Football and everything else, it's like you guys are still the second longest on CBS.
53 consecutive years on CBS, and that's, we're pretty proud of that. I think that's a testament to the kind of bowl we have and the kind of people that we have here working, the volunteers that we have at the Sun Bowl, and the teams that come and play. They've been tremendous partners. Our relationship with CBS is tremendous. Hope that continues for another 53 years. But they are awesome people to have, and again, we're the only bowl game that is on the CBS network, and we're kind of proud of that. Of course, that the reason for that is the relationship that we built with, over the years. So, again, looking forward to having him again on December 31st, taking the Sun Bowl across the nation.
Exactly. It's the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. So, good old Tony the Tiger, making it great, on December 31st.
And they've been a tremendous sponsor. And, of course, Tony's one of the most recognizable mascots in the world, probably. So we're extremely happy to have him here. And he is just a lot of fun to have. And, there's more than just being a sponsor. The whole reason behind Kellogg's and Tony the Tiger sponsoring the bowl game is to make people aware that there's about 60% of middle schools have lost their athletic program. So every box of Frosted Flakes that is sold, some of that money goes to keep sports in middle schools, and it's called Mission Tiger. So there's more than just sponsoring a game and getting their name out there. They're really trying to help the youth of the country with by helping them maintain and keep their sports programs.
Go ahead, George.
So, Bernie, the preliminary discussion, it looks like you're possibly getting Clemson in there for the Sun Bowl.
You know what? It's been a crazy, crazy year this year in football. Witnessed by that on the other side, that Oregon-Utah game the other day really surprised me. But so it's been a crazy year, and I said we would love. Clemson is one of the ACC teams that's never played in the game, but there are so many possibilities from the ACC still with only 1 week to play.
Sure.
Boston College is still a possibility. Clemson, Virginia, Florida State, if they beat Florida, and now Florida doesn't have a coach, they might do that. North Carolina, Miami. There's so many possibilities. There's so many scenarios left on the ACC. But Clemson would be a tremendous team to have down here. Obviously, the tradition that they've built over the last several years is great. But again, there are still lots of possibilities from the ACC that could be here at the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
Yeah. Well, Bernie, you don't want to have Miami there because every time you have Miami there, you get a snowstorm or a blizzard or something going on down there. They might.
I was asking the staff when was the last time we had snow here. They said when Miami played here. Well, maybe it's time for a couple more snowflakes. Maybe we should get Miami. They've been here twice and brought about 5 inches of snow each time.
Wow, that's crazy. George, go ahead. Do you have one more for Bernie?
Hey, Bernie, I just want to follow up after the crazy year that was last year. What are your scenarios for folks coming in attendance and this whole COVID situation kind of just hanging around and being an annoyance?
Well, again, last year during about this time, El Paso was one of the worst cities in the country as far as the COVID virus. This year, at this point, El Paso is over 85% fully vaccinated.
Wow! So
now we're one of the best cities in the country when it comes to vaccinated people. Obviously, our state's a little bit more liberal. We have not, we don't have the mandates that a lot of states have, but we are going to still recommend. We're going to recommend that everybody wear a mask, even though it's not mandated here in the state of Texas. So, we're going to take all the precautions that we have to take. I know all our volunteers that work the game must be vaccinated. Of course, all our staff is vaccinated, and all our volunteers must be vaccinated if they're going to come in contact with any of our out-of-town visitors. As far as the parents are concerned, well, like I said, it's a voluntary thing to wear their masks. But as far as the teams and our visitors are concerned, we're going to make sure that we are as safe as possible when they come into our city.
That's true. Well, Bernie, let me let you go. We got to get Kristen on, but thank you so much for coming on. I want to wish you and everybody there in El Paso a great Thanksgiving, and I still always remember Chris Schenkel saying, Marty Robbins' favorite city, El Paso.
There you go. I really appreciate you all having me. You all also have a great Thanksgiving.
All right, man. I'll catch up with you hopefully maybe in Charlotte. You might be there, right?
I might be there. I might not. It all depends on whether I can get a flight back in time on Sunday for the selections.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll touch base. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bernie.
All right, see you. Bye. All right, let's bring in Kristen here. We're doing double duty here on the program. Let me take off Bernie's photograph. Let's bring in Kristen. Hey, Kristen, thanks so much for spending some time. That was Bernie, Olivas from the Sun Bowl. Did your dad play in the Sun Bowl?
I don't think I'm not sure if he did, but I know we had a pretty epic UT game that took place there. I know Priest Holmes was the running back then, and I think Mac Brown was coaching at North Carolina at the time, if I'm not mistaken. But
okay,
I'm not sure if Dad ever played in the Sun Bowl or not.
Yeah. So how you been lately? I haven't talked to you since the summer. How's everything?
Yeah, we've been doing well. Trying to emerge from the COVID fog. And we're doing well. I've been spending a lot of time with my dad over the last couple of days on some business stuff. We're narrowing down the field for our college football award, and we're plugging along here.
That's cool. Yeah, I saw the list. Let me bring it up here. Hold on here. I saw here's some of the semifinalists here, folks. You got a kid from Baylor, but it's funny. The kid was born in Arkansas, but he plays with the Baylor, so technically he's allowed to get. Yeah.
So one of the criteria for the award is like you don't have to you have to be either from the state of Texas or playing football at a university in the state of Texas. So I think Gary Bohannon's from Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got a really good field. I like Kennedy Brooks from Oklahoma. I like both of the wide receivers. Gary Wilson's from Austin. And the other young man, I think, is from the DFW area. So we've got both of the wideouts from Ohio State. And I think Xavier Worthy from the University of Texas and maybe Bijan Robinson from the University of Texas as well, or have a good opportunity to make the finalist, as well as Spiller from Texas A&M. So we've got a really good field. And I don't know, I think these things are always a little bit tricky over the summer. We're putting together watch lists, but, the cream always rises to the top, like my dad says. So we've got a really good panel of nationwide sports voters. And I don't know, looking forward to bringing someone new into the family January 12th, 2022.
That's cool. I didn't get are you going to send me my ballot? Because I was looking for it the other day.
Yeah, for sure. I'll get you lined up. We got to add you if you're not ready.
That's okay. I like sending out my picking players. I've been watching a lot of college, like George and I, and she's starting to watch a lot of college football. It's great to watch Saturday afternoon. Like I think with Texas A&M with Spiller, I think he's a good running back. And if you're Jim Fisher, you're very happy to have him because he reminds him of like a Davin Cook type.
Yeah, he's really good. There's another kid there, the tight end, Weidemeyer. He didn't have as good of a year, but I think he's going to be a very special talent there at A&M as well. But it wouldn't surprise me at all. I know my dad's going to cringe a little bit, but it wouldn't surprise me at all that if we were to give the award away to a Texas Aggie.
Uh-oh.
That
might be some fighting words for Thanksgiving.
It's getting there. It's getting there for sure.
Go ahead, George. Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, Christian, with the selection process, I mean, is it talking with the coaches too? I know there's a couple awards that are out there that it's a character-based award.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little more, along the line of character traits that you're looking for in a recipient?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much everything that Earl embodies, which is being the ultimate teammate, your work ethic, and how reliable are you? Like how much can your team count on you when it's all on the line? And I think the coaches across the nation, along with all the SIDs at the respective universities, have done a very good job of matching our criteria, the character traits, the things we look for in the classroom to build a complete athlete. They've been very helpful in nominating some top of the line guys. We talk about it every year, but like Texas is a huge state, man. And like, I don't know, Ricky Williams says that football is a sickness in Texas. Ricky came from San Diego to play at UT, but it's scary and freaky how much talent comes out of the state. And you know, they don't always go to the flagship schools like LSU, Alabama, or UT or Texas A&M, but sometimes they end up at Western Kentucky, or sometimes they're down the road at University of Texas San Antonio, which is now a top 20 school. So it's every year I'm blown away by how much talent comes out of this state.
And Christian, the other part is, I always talk about 4 and 5 star recruits, right? I'm a personal belief. I personally don't believe in the 4 and 5 star rankings. I'm looking at the guys that are a little bit further down below that, because those are the guys that have to work the extra hard and they go the distance. And then they become, like you're saying, they build those character traits as the teammates can be building on versus, or depend on, versus someone that thinks they just got to show up and play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that speaks a lot to your character. I know a lot of the guys on the list, you know, my dad always says it's like, if we take them away from their team, how much does their team keep pushing forward? And there's quite a few guys on this list. Like, if we take them away from their team, I think their team sputters along, and it shows how valuable they are. I know quite a few of these guys, you know, they were 4-star, 5-star recruits, but some of them were 3-star recruits, or some of them, you know, had to go to these larger universities and then make their way back. So, like, you could take a kid like Tanner Mordecai, who sat behind Kyler, and I think he sat behind Jalen Hurts as well. And then now you have Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams at Oklahoma, and he finds his way to SMU, and he's putting up some phenomenal numbers. So I think, you know, it speaks to the high school talent that's in the state, but also just these guys' will to want to continue to compete at a high level. I think that's very important.
Steve, do you have anything for Kristen? Or? No? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But Kristen, it's pretty cool with you, like you're saying, in the state of Texas. You know, it's like all these kids. You know, it's like a huge hotbed for like college football.
It is.
Do you feel like it's also, you know, you used to see a lot in the state of Florida too? You know, I feel like a lot of this stuff is moving away from Florida and going to Texas more, because I feel like, you know, Texas has every school now is like in Division I.
Take the Houston metro area and Dallas-Fort Worth area in Central Texas, where Austin is, and like there's thousands just between those three places. There's thousands of kids, and then you take I don't know, you go out to West Texas, where the gentleman was that where the Sun Bowl is out in El Paso, or you go up to North Texas, going towards Oklahoma. Like, there's, as big as the state is, man, it's unbelievable the amount of talent that it cranks out every year. And it's like, you know, that's how a kid like Jalen Hurts, who's in Channelview outside of Houston, who wasn't very highly recruited, but like Nick Saban found a diamond in the rough there, you know. So a lot of the kids fall through the cracks. They end up having to go, you know, to other schools, other conferences, and you know, get notoriety there. But super competitive here.
Yeah. Well, Kristen, how's your dad doing lately? Is he doing okay? Everything good? I think he's frozen. Did he freeze?
Yeah,
He froze.
Yeah, he froze.
Text, message him.
Oh, I'm here. You guys froze up for a little bit, but I'm
okay. It's probably maybe internet. We don't know. But
yeah.
How's your father doing? Is he doing great?
He's doing really well. I mean, it's been a long year for him. The university, I think, man, they've been on the what are they? They haven't won a game since they lost to Oklahoma in early October. So I guess this is a 6-game losing streak that they're on now. So anytime his school is down, he takes it pretty tough. He was telling me the other day, he's like, man, my buddies give me a hard time. You know, you get Eric Dickerson calling you, you get Warren Sapp calling you, you get calling you saying, hey, what's going on down in Austin? You know, it's tough for him, but I think he's doing really well, and I think he's very optimistic when it comes to UT football as to where Steve Sarkisian can take this thing. So Dad's doing well. He's in good health. He watches more college football than anyone that I know. He's not so big on the NFL anymore, but he'll literally like watch game day and then he'll watch the first football game at 11 a.m. Central, and then he'll stay up and watch the Oregon Ducks at like 10:30 Central Time. So like he's a really big college football fan. He doesn't watch the NFL as much. He loves Derrick Henry, but outside of that, it's hard to get him to watch an NFL game. But Dad's doing well.
That's cool. That's awesome. Well, I want to let you go. So thank you so much for coming on. Have a great Thanksgiving from all of us here, and hope you guys eat well.
You guys do the same. Watch for my Gamecocks on the upset here.
Okay. Yeah, you need to upset Clemson because Clemson's going to go to that ACC title game with 4 losses. Who wants to watch that garbage?
I need my Gamecocks on the upset just so we can start winning some of these South Carolina in-state recruiting wars with the high school kids. So I'll take South Carolina on the upset. You guys be well. Have a happy Thanksgiving and buzz me anytime.
Yeah, I'll text you. I'll text you after that game on Saturday and see how you're doing.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy.
Happy Thanksgiving.
George knocked his camera over.
George. George was really adamant about that.
I don't know what the heck happened there. He drops off and the camera falls off the computer.
Got a little excited there, you're like, what? Yeah, but he's really cool. Yeah, Kristen Campbell. It's like he's like down to earth. That guy's like pretty cool guy.
He's pretty chill.
Yeah, he's like chill down. And I said I'll text him after the South Carolina game and see how he's doing. Yeah,
I think we'll all take the Gamecocks over Clemson this weekend.
Yeah, well, no offense. I think I want to see somebody brand new in the ACC championship game if I get approved. Like maybe Wake Forest. That might be a little bit different instead of seeing the same the same crud every year.
You don't deserve to be in there with 4 losses.
No, you don't deserve it at all. And it's fascinating. Like Pittsburgh, basically, that game against Virginia last week was like a shootout, pretty much. Yeah, it's like okay. Yeah, so we're waiting for Steve Tasker to join us. Hopefully, I texted him this morning and called him, and he said he got it. So we're waiting for him to log in here. Let's talk about other stuff going on around the football world here. What else we got to bring up here?
Hey, George.
Yes, sir.
I got to bring up something that's kind of funny. I don't know if you saw this, but we saw this on Sunday Night Football with the Steelers game of the. I don't know if it's been put up on Come On Man yet I don't know if it made the highlight reel, but apparently one of the linemen for the Steelers actually farted during the game, and it was actually picked up on the mic on the field.
Can we say fart on the air, Chris?
Yeah, you can say fart.
But it was just so funny because you didn't catch it the first time, but then the second time we played it through, and you could hear it.
Where's the flag? You got that's a personal foul.
And the lineman next to him looks around like,
yeah. And he gets a false start. It would be great if the guy got a false start from it.
We were in hysterics for 5 minutes about that. You gotta say that has to be a blooper reel somewhere.
Yeah. God bless the folks at NBC to pick that up. I could hear how Michael's going. What was that?
Hey, Chris, can you say excuse me, please?
Yeah, excuse me, please.
So Steelers never should have lost that game. I had turned the game on. Steelers just took the lead. I had looked at my phone. They were down 34-24, some crazy number. And I turned the game on. I was like, 37-34. I was like, hey, look at this. We're going to turn on, at the end of the game because we were out. It goes back to the old adage. You play prevent defense, it prevents you from winning. And they gave them the whole field. They never should have lost that game. Then Ben getting sacked on consecutive plays to finish the game.
When he got sacked there like two or three times back to back.
You're third and forever. There's no play for that.
No, but it's pretty funny that I don't think it was on Come On Man. I was watching it last night. They didn't bring that up. I don't think they did. They brought up they brought up people in California that were watching the Stanford California game, and like all of a sudden you saw, somebody looked like dressed up like Colonel Sanders, another guy dressed up like the Queen of England, and they're all sitting in the row in California where the big Golden Bears play. I'm like, and then like what's his name? Moss, Randy Moss came out with glasses and a jacket. Guy, how you doing? Yeah, yeah. It's like okay, yeah.
It's going to be weird being out in California and Notre Dame being up the road a bit.
Yeah, that's true. You what are you going to do about that? You should take this. I want you to take that bus and go. Hey, can I go to Stanford?
Yeah,
you turn and go to Stanford.
Yeah. So,
yeah. I may end up in divorce court over that.
Yeah, I'll be your judge. I'll be your no, not judge. I'll be your district attorney. Yeah. So speaking of district attorneys, let's bring this former Buffalo Bills special teamer, all-time great Steve Tasker is joining us here. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for taking your time out of your busy schedule with this game on Thursday night between Bills and Saints. What went wrong last week up in this past Sunday? It looked like my mom had Josh Allen in fantasy football, and she was like she needed extra points. Yeah, from Josh Allen. So what happened?
Yeah, there's a number of things that there's a big confluence of events that came into there. No question, the Colts are a really good team. They run the ball. They're a tough matchup, particularly for a Bills team that was decimated up front, offensive line and defensive line. The Colts running game was really good. Jonathan Taylor's a fantastic back. They're well coached. They did everything right. Plus, the Colts came in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because of the playoff game last year. The Bills put the Colts out of the playoffs, took away their chance to get deeper into it, and that always sticks in a team's craw a little bit. They came in, they wanted to prove something to the Bills about what happened last year in the playoffs, and then of course the Bill, it was a rainy day, no question about it. The Bills turned it over 4 times, which is something they haven't done too much this year. I think the fact that they had 2 guys out of the middle of their defense kind of made the run game even better for the Colts, even though it was really good to begin with. They came out, let's face it, they came out a little flat, no question about it. The Colts got up on them. The Bills got it to 14-7. You think, okay, they're going to get it back into it. And before the Bills offense took the field again, it was 24-7. The Colts got a turnover, set up a 1-play drive after getting a field goal, and that 10 points kind of put it out of reach. The Bills were out of their game plan, and it was halftime. So they were up against it, and it got bad pretty quick for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. We'll just talk about this week with a short week. Everything's all backed up into Thanksgiving. You guys are flying down you guys are going to be playing the Saints Thanksgiving night. What's the schedule like for the Bills getting themselves ready? Because I know now today's a Tuesday. It feels like a Friday?
Right. Yesterday was a little bit of a walkthrough meetings. They kind of put the Colts game to bed, stuck around, got a walkthrough, started going through what they had thought about doing to the Saints or for the Saints game. More of that today. They had a little bit more of a run through practice. Still, no pads or anything like that, certainly, but they were out on the field. They were here. It was a little bit of a long day for them probably today. A lot of meeting time, some walkthrough stuff, and a lot of recovery and rest for these guys. That's been the message that Sean McDermott's been trying to get these guys is get recovered and get ready for Thursday night. Tomorrow they'll come in, probably have a light walkthrough, meetings and stuff, head to the airport and fly out. I wouldn't be shocked either if they spent some time during the day on Thanksgiving in the hotel, walking through some stuff in the hotel as well, going over some things, having some meetings, getting guys mentally right, at least prepared to play that game. And it's a quick turnaround, no question about it.
So, Steve, there's no surprise here. You guys come out of that game with the Saints, and your next game up on the docket's the Patriots. Basically, you could say destiny lies in the hands of the Bills. You guys can go win that first game against the Patriots, right? And if you guys come out, you guys play them twice in 4 weeks. It's hard to beat somebody twice. Doesn't make a difference what sport you're playing in, and especially a month time frame. And as a former guy from Connecticut, you guys got to beat the Patriots. I want you guys to take that AFC East.
Yeah, there's no question. The Monday night game against the Patriots is absolutely immense for both clubs. Certainly, if both clubs can hold serve and win, if the Bills can go down to New Orleans and win, if the Patriots can beat the Tennessee Titans this weekend, they kind of hold serve. The Bills have a mini bye week after the Thanksgiving day. They'll have a 10-day or actually 11-day window to go to the next Monday night, 11 days away. So they'll have a little time to get their wind, put a little extra work in on the Patriots, no question about it. They should be fresh for the Patriots, but there's no doubt on Monday night in Buffalo, it's going to be a really, really important game for both those squads. The division's going to be up for grabs, and it'll be up to the Bills to, make a statement about how good a football team they think they are.
And Steve, I just want you guys to have a blizzard like when I was there 8 years ago. I got snowed in Buffalo. And one thing I learned from that trip is never, ever, ever travel to Buffalo in the wintertime. Even though I was from Connecticut, my boss is like, dude, you got to drive home from Buffalo. I'm like, they're telling me to stay off the roads. I want you to see you guys have some massive snow that night.
Yeah, it may happen. I mean, it's that time of year. There's no question about it. Lake hasn't frozen yet. Lake Erie hasn't frozen yet. If they get a cold snap, the wind comes across the right time. I mean, I know what you're talking about. They call it Snowvember up here. That 2017 storm, I think it was. 2015 is when it was. 2015 storm. Rex Ryan was the head coach. They had to move a home game against the Jets over to Detroit and moved it to Monday night. Yeah, it was bad. I know at my house, we're right in the snow belt. I think that week, my wife and I got 90.5 inches at our house.
Wow. Just in one day, one storm shot?
Yeah, it was a 48 hours Monday through Tuesday night. And then it hit again on Wednesday and hit them again with another 48 inches or so. So they got like 36 and then got 48 or something like that on that.
Where's the wood?
Yeah, what's that?
You're just going to have to dig snow tunnels just to get to your mailbox.
Yeah, you ain't digging anything, man. You don't go outside. You don't go outside.
Yeah. Well, Steve, you played one in your career. You played one game on Thanksgiving. It was against the Lions and Barry Sanders. What was it like playing on Thanksgiving as a player? Now you're a broadcaster. They just tell you where to go and you're ready to go.
Yeah. Back then, not too many teams got to play on Thursdays. Now everybody gets a Thursday night game, right? So it's not that unusual, and teams are kind of used to it. It becomes part of the routine. You don't really mind the Thursday game once a season, because then you get the long week afterwards. You get a couple of days off. It's like a mini bye week, and you get a couple of days to take a breath. And most guys really look forward to it. So it's not as unusual as it was in decades past when it was only Dallas and Detroit and two other random teams that played. So everybody's kind of used to the idea now of playing on a Thursday. And for the Bills, it'll just be like a regular Thursday night game. So they'll be all right. And I think most teams have now a routine and a process through that 4-day week that they can, they can feel good about their preparation and feel confident in playing as well as they can.
Yeah. Yeah, you're playing against Barry Sanders. That's always tough on any Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, any shape or form playing Barry Sanders back then.
We played him a couple of times. We took him to overtime in Orchard Park in a game at the end of the season. And I actually caught a touchdown to send the game into overtime, and because it was a game the Bills didn't need. So Frank Reich was playing, I was playing wide receiver, all that stuff. Frank throws me an out and up, and we score to tie it up. It was sudden death, and it was like windy. It's like 40-mile-an-hour winds. So they win the toss and take the ball. We take the wind. And they just handed it to Barry like 7 times in a row, and they win. I mean, he crushed us in overtime. So Barry was a special dude. Yeah.
Go ahead, George.
Hey, Steve, if I can just ask a question about Jim Kelly, how's he doing lately? There's not been too much about him in the media, but I know that he was going through some trouble times and coming out of it. And what's the status on Jim?
I talked to him. I saw him this last weekend, and I've texted with him. He's doing well. You're funny. He had a battle with cancer, no question, and he had like a double. He came back and he beat it twice, and then we heard he wasn't doing well, and it wasn't because of cancer. He had his ankle replaced, and he had some trouble with the incision. So there's a lot of that going on. But I know this: we had the Colts are doing the HBO Hard Knocks thing. And when the Colts came to Buffalo, it was obviously Frank Reich coming back to Buffalo. So HBO reached out to myself, Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas, Jim Kelly. They wanted our group to get together and have dinner with Frank the night before the game at the Colts Hotel. Have the old teammates of Frank come over and have, an old-time dinner. Well, we did it, but Jim couldn't make it because it was the first day of deer season. He was hunting. So, I have a feeling he's not doing too bad.
He's got his priorities lined up.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, I got to ask you one more quick question. College football. You went to Northwestern University. What is going on with your Wildcats? Because I know last year you guys did a really good job winning the bowl game, the Citrus Bowl. You beat a very good team down there. Now this year, what happened? Everybody decided to go off to the NFL, or what happened?
Well, it's hard to put it together, year after year for a school like Northwestern. It's hard to get those guys into school. It's hard to keep them there when they're there, and it's hard, really, I think, to refurbish that roster. When kids go to a school like the recruiting and this is the way I see it, the recruiting problem for Northwestern is they get good kids in there, man. As soon as they're ready, they play. They don't have to wait on a junior or senior to graduate. So when kids come in to get recruited and they've got a pretty good crew in there, kids don't want to go there because if they have to wait on something, if they don't want to wait to play. And if they're that good, they'll just go someplace and play right away. And at Northwestern, I think Pat does a nice job of developing his players and his young players into really good players. They're really good at making young players who may not be top-notch recruits athletically into really good college football players. And Pat plays those guys. So if you're not good enough to earn your spot onto the squad, or if if for whatever reason you want to go someplace else, you think you can play better or play more, I think that's one of the things that Northwestern fights against. But I don't know if you've seen their facilities at Northwestern. They're spectacular. I mean, spectacular. They've got a practice facility that is second to none in the country. And they do a really nice job. And I know this, Pat Fitzgerald makes sure that the kids who do choose Northwestern have a phenomenal experience, and they're changed men when they come out. So I think even though this team may struggle now and again and through one season, this or that season, and they may have a 3-win season here and there, the people, the alumni and the university and the players that come out of there could not be happier with what they do with their football program.
I got to say something, Steve. In your time at Northwestern, I also see you have a little bit of a rugby background. Talk about how it was like going from rugby to being before you got drafted in the NFL. It's a different format. Yeah. It's similar type sport, but different format.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you the truth. Of course, I'm not going to play rugby. Oops, sorry about that. I'm not going to play rugby while I'm playing college football. I mean, Dennis Green was my college coach when I was at Northwestern.
Okay.
And you can imagine he would not have looked kindly on one of his players playing rugby at the same time they're trying to play college football. So after I took a 5th year and took a redshirt year and was there for 5 years. And after my 5th year, after my eligibility in football was used up, I needed a way. Everything was different back then. I didn't get invited to the combine, and the pro day was like, running 40s. And what they usually did was they just have scouts trickle in the off season. Whenever they could get to Northwestern or wherever those Big Ten schools back then were, the scout would come in and say, hey, I want to see this kid on Thursday, have him ready. And the office would just call you and say, hey, the guy's coming on Tuesday, be there. And so I needed a way to stay in shape for the scouts, to stay sharp and have some ball skills and, be flexible, be able to run and, burst and stuff without pulling a hamstring or something. So I went out and played rugby the last half of my 5th year in the spring. And I had a great experience playing rugby. The Northwestern team went to the Big Ten tournament. We got second that year. I was named the most valuable back in the Big Ten tournament that year. Had a great time doing it. And it really helped me, catching the ball and handling the ball in rugby helped me just to stay sharp for the pro scouts that would trickle through the off season on campus. and they wanted, they'd want me to vertical, they'd want me to bench, they'd want me to run a 40 and that kind of stuff. And I thought the rugby, and the competitiveness of the rugby and doing it every day and, for about 5, 6, 7 weeks really, really was a good idea for me, and it worked out well.
That's cool. That's awesome. Well, Steve, I want to let you go. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving, safe trips to New Orleans this week, and hopefully you guys bring home a win on Thursday night.
Well, we'll wait and see. Guys, appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you and your families. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you,
Happy
Steve.
Thanksgiving.
All right. That's Steve Tasker, former Bills great special teamer. Always good to have a former Bill on the program. I remember watching him when I was a kid growing up with special teams. He used to he was like the guy that just came out of nowhere and just tackled everybody. It was like, okay, who's this guy? And I could see it on NBC going, that's Steve Tasker. It just came out of, with like Bob, whatever his name is, used to do the games on.
I felt so bad for those Bills teams back in the 80s to get to that Super Bowl four times in a row?
Yeah.
You get to 4 times in a row. But I could still, when we were talking to Steve, I could see the play in my head over and over and over again of the Norwood kick to the left and the Giants win the Super Bowl. I ran out of the room. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch that field goal attempt. And when he missed it wide left, I was like, wow.
Yeah. I remember watching it. I had a little TV upstairs in my bedroom. My dad finally gave me a little TV, so I was watching it in my room. I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to go to bed. And then I was like, wait a minute, let's watch it. And then and I think they took that scene from Scott Norwood missing that field goal, and I think they turned it into Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, because it's almost similar to it if you look at it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you look at it, it's like wide left, and like you missed the field goal, and like, okay, laces out.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that was why the whole guy, he had that trouble. That's why he was down in the dumps, because all he kept getting criticized for was missing that field goal.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in Psychoville, and Finkle's the mayor. How you doing?
and by the way, now that when Steve was on the call, I talked about that blizzard.
Yeah.
If you ever have an opportunity to get up to, in the same breath, if you ever have an opportunity to get up to Buffalo in the wintertime, there's nothing better than seeing Niagara Falls frozen over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. And sometimes where it's gotten really bad cold and it just looks like a thing from a picture. I mean, it's just real picturesque. It's really cool looking.
Yeah.
It was the same trip. And I remember going out to the falls when we first got there, and the falls were just completely frozen over. I mean, you think about the water that's going over those falls, and it's trickling down underneath all that ice. It's just amazing.
Yeah. All right. Let's turn the page to this is Rivalry Week, and we've seen. I had a chance to talk to Shane Beamer, the head coach of South Carolina, Saturday night, and I asked him about playing Clemson because his daddy was Frank Beamer, and they used to play really well against Clemson in the ACC. So I hopped on and asked him a question. So here's Shane Beamer. I have a chance to talk to him this past Saturday. Hey, Coach Beamer, thanks for taking my question. Taking on a team that your father played against a lot when you were helping him out in the ACC, we covered the ACC. What's the preparation going to be this week different than this week, getting ready for a team that you already know, from throughout your career of coaching?
You talking about getting ready for Clemson?
Yeah.
It won't be any different. We played them when I was at Virginia Tech in 2011 twice, and then we played them in 2012, and I don't think we played them again after that. But, preparation will be the same. I mean, obviously, I guess there's a little bit of familiarity, but it was 9 years ago the last time I played Clemson. Got great respect for their program, got great respect for Coach Sweeney, and excited about the opportunity to go compete next week.
That's why I asked him, and I feel like he had this advantage because his father played, at Virginia Tech. I know it's been 9 years, but everything's still the same pretty much, and you still throw the football, and you still run the ball. That's a little bit,
That's a tough call though. It's totally different. Clemson is in a totally different place you're talking about the Gamecocks versus Clemson, last year. It's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it's turn the page, maybe turn 2 pages. It's completely different. I mean, you're going to have it. Statistics are funny because people will talk about matchups and base them on statistics.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, every year there's a turnover in players. So, I mean, it becomes one of those things. It becomes more of a pressure, to win a game versus anything else.
Exactly. Well, let's bring in Gary McDaniels, who does the Clemson Sports News, and also Cory Diaz, who covers South Carolina for the Greenville News. So, folks, thanks for coming on. It's a rivalry week, so I guess you guys are okay right now. No fighting, no brawling right now. Let's keep this as a family show. But
it's a working press box.
Yeah, Xbox. Gary, you've been around, with Clemson for a while. What does this rivalry game mean for Clemson University?
Oh, it goes. This goes back up. One of the longest ongoing rivalries in the country, except for last year with the COVID and the that interruption there. I think this thing has been 108 straight years. This rivalry is big for this state. I mean, you're talking about a state that's without professional sports. You've got a state here that has 2 universities that state claims to parts of the state. The University of South Carolina being centrally located where it is in Columbia, and then you got us up here in the little corner of the state. And we've got a great little rivalry, we think, with these guys. It's fun to go back and forth with them. They have a tradition, of playing a good, hard-nosed football, and this rivalry it's got its own little niche, in the college football history.
Yeah. So, Cory, same question.
I'm actually excited to kind of ingrain myself in this rivalry for the first time. This is my first year on the beat here in Columbia, covering South Carolina, and so I'm really interested to see how this rivalry stacks up. To the Alabama Auburns, the LSU Alabamas, the Florida Georgias. I'm really interested to see how this stacks up, and just from talking to some of the players earlier today during our availability, we talked to some of the guys like the Kerryon Joyner, who is a South Carolina kid. We've spent some time around them and just kind of getting their insight on, what was it like growing up as a kid here? We talked to Brad Johnson today too, one of South Carolina's linebackers, and he grew up, I believe he said it was a 7-minute drive from Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. And so just, coming from a place where, over half of his graduating class ended up attending Clemson, and he's playing football at South Carolina. Those neat little dynamics there kind of make this rivalry what it is. And I'm really just more interested to see kind of what it looks like on Saturday night when Williams-Brice Stadium is I believe, as we were told earlier today, is 200 tickets from being sold out on Saturday night. So I'm interested to see what that stadium is going to be like, completely sold out on Saturday night, and kind of what the game atmosphere is like, and once it gets going.
Well, I'll tell you, the game atmosphere will be off the charts. I've done many a game in that press box, many a game on that field covering that team. It'll be crazy off the charts. And those kids you mentioned, Brad lives in Pendleton. No joke, 5.5 minutes from Clemson. I covered him in recruiting. To Kerryon, I covered him in recruiting as well. You're talking South Carolina kids. The thing about Clemson and their roster right now is they've got to take all these young guys that are from out of state that don't know about this rivalry and teach that rivalry to these kids, because the Clemson roster is loaded with a bunch of guys from California, Texas, all over the country now, and lacks kids from here in South Carolina because the recruiting footprint here is so small. The population is so small. So you're going to get a smaller ratio of players that you can recruit here. So they've had to go outside the footprint and recruit with the success of the program over the last few years. So now you got the problem of taking these kids from California, Texas, and explaining to them, hey, guys, this is South Carolina, this is Clemson's the in-state thing. I know you're probably used to a different rivalry where you grew up, but this is what it's about, and emphasizing how important it is to bring that trophy home every year.
I totally agree with you. And with me, I grew up watching all these rivalry games, living here in the state of Maryland. I follow, all of them, like Florida State, Florida, Clemson, South Carolina. I remember one year Clemson and South Carolina had that brouhaha. that got the cops on the field, and like they both teams didn't go to a bowl game because that was their penalty for not going for that fight.
They both lost a chance to still play in a bowl game that year. And it broke the streak for Clemson. It was quite well. There you go, right there. I remember it very well. Those players are contributors to our show here in Clemson.
Look at it! Look at it! This is like old fashioned. Look at the uniforms. Like somebody's this haymaker. And there's another guy with a haymaker.
Helmets out. There were helmets in the stands. It was it was going off. There were police everywhere. It never stopped.
It's a different era too when you see the block numbers on the jerseys. I love that era of college football.
Yeah.
We got a post-game targeting there.
2004.
All right. Go ahead, George. Go ahead.
I was just saying the video clip, you have a post-game targeting nowadays.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on targeting there. They had guys with helmets literally hitting each other with them. It was pretty bad. It was literally a lawless scene, and I think that both teams need to learn their lesson. It started off with a provocation at the beginning, and Clemson comes down the hill. The South Carolina team decided to run to the bottom of the hill to greet them that day, and that didn't work out very well during the game. It was from the first play on. It was on.
It's like Florida State and Florida. When I was a kid, the Florida Gator guy stomps on the logo of Florida State, and like all of a sudden the Florida State guy, like I don't think so. He gets ejected before the game, and that was their best free safety that Florida had. And my brother
Mark Rich sending the whole team down to celebrate a couple of years ago in the end zone when they scored. Remember a few years back, right before he left there. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that you can see here. And you think Alabama and Auburn would be that way? It's not as bad. These rivalries we're talking about, this one here, my friend up there in Columbia, he's going to find out this goes back a long way. And on Saturday night, you're not going to find a better atmosphere in the country. I'll tell you, I've been to A&M, I've been to LSU, I've been all over the country and seen games. You won't find a better atmosphere than you will in Columbia when these two come together on Saturday night.
Wow. And it's going to be great. It's going to be 7:30, and plus South Carolina has something to do to knock Clemson out of the ACC championship game. So that's something more.
Oh, there's a lot to play there. Clemson doesn't own its own destiny in its own hands for the first time in a very long time. They've got to hope that Wake loses to BC, and that could have very well happened. And I've been there. That's a strange place, Chris. You've been there too. That's a strange place to play football. And they've got their quarterback back, and he's starting to catch his stride. And the other thing, I think UNC is perfectly capable of beating North Carolina in that rivalry game on Friday night. You just don't know it's a roll of dice, those two. So that again, Clemson doesn't hold its own destiny. This game's all about that Palmetto State trophy and bringing back some bragging rights for 365 years for Shane Beamer to put a good stamp on the first year of his program. You're talking about a team that was projected to win 3 wins. They got 5 or 6 now. They're bowl eligible, and they have 3 really good wins inside their conference. I mean, this would really make kids step him up in other places if he wanted to go somewhere. And then at Clemson, the streak Clemson's trying to keep going on is 10 games in a year. They've won 10 games for 11 straight seasons. They're trying to make 12. And if they win, South Carolina win the bowl game, they got 10-3.
Yeah. Well, Cory, I got to say, it was funny the other night. I was on the call with you guys for the post game because the South Carolina sent me the emails. Hey, join. I was like, okay, I'll sit there. And it's funny. One of the reporters goes, "So, Coach Beamer, what was that play call?" And he goes, "Do I really need to tell you that? When Dabo Swinney might be listening?" I'm like, are you? I'm like, are you?
Hey, it's not him. A graduate assistant, I can assure you, is listening. Every coach has a graduate assistant assigned to every other school in the conference and their rival, always.
I was laughing, going, "You got to be kidding me! You're going to and Shane Beamer's going to tell him what the play call is." I was waiting for Shane to go, "Yeah, it was called X's and O's or something like that," or what?
I got some numbers I want to toss at you fellas that I thought were pretty interesting going into this game. Okay. You got some comparable numbers for these two teams right now, and you got some that are a little bit off kilter. Third down defense, you got South Carolina at 105th, Clemson's at 26th. Third down conversions, you got Clemson at 92nd and South Carolina at 102nd. Both of them pretty bad on third down. Rushing defense, Clemson's at 14th, South Carolina's at 94th. Rushing offense, now this one surprised me. With that trio of backs that South Carolina is starting to really get out there and really get some production out of. I couldn't believe this at Clemson's 67th and South Carolina's 96th. Team defense, Clemson's 15th, South Carolina's 48th. That's pretty impressive to come up to 48th from where they were last year. Team offense, Clemson's at 95th, which is way out of their norm. South Carolina's at 111th. Scoring offense, you got Clemson at 77th, South Carolina 104th, and scoring defense, Clemson's 8th, and South Carolina's 48th. I see a lot of improvement on the South Carolina defensive side of football, and I see a team that's had to play with 3 different quarterbacks that are trying to figure it out, and I think they've gotten as much as they could out of each of those quarterbacks so far.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I want to let you guys go. Thanks for coming on. We got a short time of stuff here, big cramming in before Thanksgiving, but thank you so much for coming on. And you guys have Cory, enjoy your first experience of this because it's something that you're going to, always going to remember.
Look for me in the press box, Cory. I'll see you there.
Yeah,
Will do, Gary. Appreciate it, man.
Gary's a great guy. He'll take care of you separate after the game. He'll just leave you, by yourself.
He'll be busy enough going to cover his team. I got to go cover mine.
Exactly. And Gary, I hope to see you. Maybe I might see you in Charlotte. So
but you might. Hey, you know what? And I might just come up hang out with you anyway. I'll be bored that night. I'm not playing.
I'm more in enjoyment. I got a hotel probably for the weekend. We'll come and have a party.
It's not that far. It's a couple hours.
Yeah, it's okay. Nicole will be there too, so we'll have some fun.
All right, man. Y'all be good.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Thank you, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
I see you. All right, folks. That's Gary McDaniels and Cory Diaz. They cover the South Carolina Clemson game, big game on Saturday night on the SEC network. Speaking of big games, if you're a local kid like Steve and I, Calvert Hall and the Loyola Bakersfield is playing in their annual Turkey Bowl football game, the 101th edition, George.
Nice.
The very first edition of this classic high school rivalry game here in Baltimore. And it's going to be played at Johnny Unitas Stadium. So let's bring in the head coach at Calvert Hall, Coach Josh Ward, joining us. Hi, Coach. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
No problem. I brought I did the hockey years ago, and they gave me this jersey. So
looks
so
good. It looks good.
Out of the closet, I had some neighbors who went there, so I'm like, okay, I'll bring it out. Yeah. And I was bringing Coach Anthony. Hi, Coach. How you doing?
How you doing?
Doing great. How do you say your last name? I was trying really hard to pronounce it, and
it's pronounced Zehyoue.
Zehyoue. Okay.
Yeah,
that works. Thanks for coming on. Just talk about this big rivalry on Saturday. Not Saturday, on Thursday. Thursday night, Thursday morning. Everybody's still trying to wake up, knowing they have to cook the turkey, but everybody will be tuning in to watch you guys.
Yeah, it's a crazy week leading up to it. And both of us just played games on Saturday of last week, so our turnaround is even quicker. But it's an exciting time because our school communities, it means such a huge deal to my school, and I know to Coach Ward's school. So we're really excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, kind of like what Coach said. It's an exciting time, especially since last year we didn't have this game. So to be able to bounce back and have this game this year for our guys is huge for our communities.
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Talk about this long-standing tradition of the Turkey Bowls being the 101st. This got to be one of the longest progressive streaks for teams playing, on Thanksgiving.
Coach, you want to take that one since you've been the head coach at Loyola a little bit longer than me?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty crazy. When I first got the job at Loyola, I went to the Giant to buy some milk for my wife, and I was wearing a Loyola shirt, and I'm like in the milk section and minding my own business. And this lady, this older lady, walks up to me and she's like, "Do you work at Loyola?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, I do." I was very proud to say "Yeah, I work at Loyola." She goes, "Well, Calvert Hall's gonna beat you on Thanksgiving."
Wow, get the
I was like,
smack talk in the grocery store.
I was like, "I'm just buying milk. This lady's coming after me. What is going on?" And I was like, "Okay, I think I know what I'm walking into a little bit." So it's something that's bigger than ourselves. It's a huge game, and I don't know how it is at Calvert Hall, but this week at Loyola, you get a lot of alums who come back to school, and they just know that it's an exciting time, and folks want to kind of update you on where they are in life, and it's just good to be at school. You just get to kind of catch up with people. So it's more than just a game. It's like the communal feel of what it really means to our schools.
Yeah, kind of piggyback off his story. When I first got the job, I'm just looking at my schedule. And I get a phone call from an alum, and they're like, "Are you ready to beat Loyola?" And I'm like, "I'm ready to game plan for McDonough. That's week 1." So I mean, everybody is all about the Turkey Bowl. I graduated in 2004, so I mean, I know it's a huge game. And, like I said, we're just excited to get back to playing it.
Yeah, that's true, and it's also a stigma for Thanksgiving morning, because I know when I get up, I was like, oh, it's on Channel 2, and you can watch the game, and you got a lot, and you get Scott Garceau will be doing the game. I know Tom Maddie, sadly passed away. I don't know who's going to fill in, maybe Jimmy Costello, but it's still a stigma. It's a thing for Thanksgiving, and last year was kind of like, what happened here? What's going on? It's weird.
Yeah, and last year was unfortunate, like the rest of the world and how our world was affected by COVID-19 and in more ways than I think any of us ever imagined that a virus could affect our lives. It just did. And I remember our school principal at the time calling me the Friday night before the week leading into the Turkey Bowl and saying, by the way, you're not playing the Turkey Bowl. And I was like, oh, he didn't say that, as abrupt as that, but that's how you hear it. You hear it that abruptly, and you're like, man. And it's tough, especially because many of the kids who were seniors last year have fathers and grandfathers and uncles who've played in the game. And that's like a special family connection that you can never replace. And for them not to get to do that is difficult.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And Coach Ward, you have some people, and it's a cool thing. These kids played in this game, and they go off to college. They go to like Division I schools. Even some of them go to the NFL. There's a guy in the Packers, who is from Calvert Hall. And has he been given back to the school, and has he reached out to you this week saying, "I beat the other guys down the street"?
Oh yeah, I mean, all these guys. We just had Kenji Bahar. He literally just got signed by the Ravens. I mean, today he came to see our guys this afternoon. His brother is actually a senior on the basketball team and one of our managers. So he came back, and we've had guys in and out that are alum that have played college, that might not have played college, that have really reached out to us and preached to our guys how important this game is to this community. Because a lot of these guys haven't been in school. I mean, if we have freshmen and sophomores on our team, they have never been in school at our schools with a Turkey Bowl yet. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that way, that, only our juniors and seniors have been in our schools and have experienced this as students. So, again, it's great to have those guys come back and tell that to our kids.
Is it the same thing there at Bakersfield, Coach Anthony? Are there some people reaching out, former players saying, hey, go beat the other guys across the street?
Oh, yeah. Everybody at Loyola Blakefield is very excited about the game, and it's just so like it's encouraging, but sometimes like nerve-wracking and pressure packed, because people who you never really thought like followed your football program and really kept up, and then like the week of the Turkey Bowl, they're like, we're really rooting for you. And I'm like, oh man, I kind of got some undue pressure here and there, because I just but yeah, everybody's super locked in, and all my students, some students who barely say anything, go, hey coach, we're gonna be at the Turkey Bowl, beat those guys. It's like
nice. Nice. We'll talk about the trophy afterwards. You guys get like a trophy, or this is not like Madden doing their chicken legs, or the turkey leg after the game, like everybody gets the turkey leg and the stuffing and all that stuff like they used to do when John Madden did the game. Let's talk about the trophy. What type of trophy is it?
We have a traveling trophy. It's a football on a plaque, and fortunately, it's been at Calvert Hall for the past 6 years. So we're obviously hoping to keep it there, but it's a traveling trophy that's handed out to the winner at the end of the game.
So 6 years. So Coach Anthony, you want that back, and you're gonna have hopefully you can bring that back on Thursday.
So theoretically, a little longer than that, because we didn't play last year, so
that's true.
We got to stay with them, so we'd love to bring it back to our school, for sure.
Yeah. Well, one quick question to ask you guys: what are your one key player to watch on Thursday morning on Channel 2 at 10 a.m.? Is there one player that you guys want us to keep an eye on that we might see sometime next year, and it's on Saturday afternoons running for whoever, any colleges or passing, just talk about one of your key players.
So for us, our defensive end, Anto Saka, number 8. He's a defensive end. He's committed to play it, and he'll sign in a few weeks with Northwestern University in Chicago. And I think he's been a kid that's only played for us since his sophomore year. He didn't play as a 9th grader. And he's just a wonderful kid, a bright young man. The favorite part about working at a school like Loyola, and I'm sure Coach Ward feels the same, is we have some good players, but more so than anything, we have like a lot of amazing kids. We really do. And Anto, like everybody's like, oh, he's going to Northwestern. But like my favorite thing about him is that he's like a genuinely nice kid. And like I would trust him with, a lot of things, you don't have to worry like, is this kid a bad kid? But he's just a genuinely nice kid. So he'll be a big player for us on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, we have a wide receiver, number 3, Rakeem Smith. Rock is uncommitted right now, but he has 12 touchdowns on the year, very explosive returner, and also a very explosive wide receiver. So, he's like Coach Anthony said it. I mean, he's just a genuine nice kid. I mean, doesn't say too much, very respectable. He's just a great all-around kid, great student athlete, multi-sport kid, great family guy. And those are the type of guys we're privileged to coach every single day, and that's why we're blessed to be the head coaches at these schools.
Yeah, that's true. It's a cool thing to teach kids about football, and like I was talking to Coach Ambrose during the summer, the Towson coach, and he said one thing he missed during the whole pandemic was his kids, and these are things that you guys probably think the same way. You didn't have a chance to coach them or meet with them or anything, and you feel thankful to have them with you guys this year.
Yeah. I tell you one thing that's really neat that the Turkey Bowl is going to do this year is they are going to honor our seniors from last year at halftime. That was something of importance to Coach Anthony and I last year when our kids lost, their season and at the end pretty much only played a couple games and then lost the Turkey Bowl. So we really wanted them to honor those kids at halftime. So they're bringing back most of our kids during that.
Nice. That's awesome. That's cool. Well, coaches, thank you so much. I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. And you can watch this game. I'm putting it out there on Channel 2. For people who want to tune in to watch it. Channel 2, Tucker said will be there doing his great broadcasting as well. And Jamie Costello might be with him as well. It's Thursday morning at 10 a.m. and the weather looks good for you guys. So enjoy, have fun, happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for coming on. We'll do this again next year.
Appreciate it,
All right,
guys.
thanks, Chris. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, so yes, folks, the Turkey Bowl, Calvert Hall versus Loyola, Thursday morning at 10 a.m. on News Channel 2 or Channel 2 ABC. Well, folks, and after that, this weekend is Rivalry Week.
Yeah, big times.
Big times. And we have a little documentary I got to show you. And before we get David Waters on from the Gators, from Florida State, Florida.
That one day every year in November is super special.
It was just something about orange and blue. It just wasn't a good color combination for us.
We got a lot of respect for Miami, but when it comes down to Florida Gators, I don't like them at all.
When you play your rival, if you don't get emotional, I mean, let's face it, you shouldn't be on that field.
To see that orange and blue, it just burns my eyes.
You got to live with it for 365 days.
And this is something that people are going to talk about for years.
Any win over Florida is my favorite football game of the season. I'll tell you that right now.
We stepped on that field with the mindset that we weren't going to quit.
This is the rivalry that started it all.
Florida State, Florida, the Seminoles, and the Gators. A rivalry steeped in half a century's worth of goal line stands and fourth quarter comebacks. In 1990, Steve Spurrier returned to his roots to coach the Gators, and the rivalry was intensified.
Florida had been beaten down, and they'd had some problems. They had been on probation. They needed a new look, and they brought in Mr. Florida football, Steve Spurrier. And here was Bobby Bowden doing his thing in Tallahassee, Florida. So you had two great coaches, two great teams, two great programs battling each other.
It was always good to beat Florida when he was there. And I guess probably the biggest thing that we could say is that Steve never won here in Tallahassee. And he probably still remembers that too.
1993 will always stand out to me because Florida State was ranked #1 in the country. And we get to Gainesville, it's late in the ball game, it's the fourth quarter, and on 3rd down and 10, Charlie Ward did his thing. He avoided a sack, he rolled a little bit to his left, he threw the pass to Warwick Dunn, who made the catch, missed tackle, and one guy had a chance to tackle it. He separates, and took it into the end zone and scored the touchdown.
Florida State! Anytime you beat.
All right, let's bring in Dave Waters. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Good. How about you guys?
Hey, tough week for people in Gainesville with Coach Mullins getting fired. So, what was your day like on Sunday when you got the call that he got fired?
Yeah, wasted a couple hours doing my Missouri review, notes and going back and looking at the game and watching the game because that's usually how I spend my Sundays. Go and look at the game before and talk about it on that day. But I had got a text about 10:30 that morning that Coach Mullins' car was not at the stadium. It's usually there every Sunday morning at the stadium. So, okay, well, that might be something. Then about an hour later, hey, there's a team meeting at 1:30. And that's kind of when I knew right there that a move was going to be made if a team meeting had been called that day. And then not long after I got, hey, team meeting's going to happen, that was probably around 11:30, probably 10, 15 minutes after that, the message that it was done there. So, it's I know it seems fast to a lot of people out there, but if you follow Florida, I think you go back in the end of the 2020 season last year, then how it all played out this year, bringing Todd Grantham back. Recruiting had never been at the level it needed to be at Florida under Dan Mullen. So there's a lot of things that it goes deeper than the 5-6 record currently Florida sits at.
Yeah, it's great to have this game back because last year I was kind of like, who are we playing? I'm a big Florida State fan since I was a kid growing up. And I have a younger brother who's a big Florida Gator fan. So it's funny every week when this game comes along, I text him this week. I go, "It's rivalry week, buddy." and he's like, "Oh." I was like, "Yeah."
It is little for the Florida side, a little overshadowed with everything going on. But
all those echoes I heard the other day of the just faint words off.
No, that's a Miami fan fading away. But anyway, Dave, you've been around this whole, this rivalry. Explain to folks this rivalry was set by the governor of Florida because these two schools didn't want to play each other back in 1958, and basically the governor had to step in and say, "You're playing next year." It's pretty funny that the government told the two schools to play each other.
Yeah, Florida flagship school just thought, hey, we're above that. We don't have to play that game if we don't want to. And then but it's good. Your rivalries in college football mean everything. Of course, Florida in the SEC has their rivalry with Georgia, but now you look at it and go down the list. You can list 4 or 5 rivalries Florida has there, and a lot of it starts with getting FSU there in the late 50s, and didn't really hit it. I mean, they've always hated each other, but didn't really hit that national spotlight until the 90s when both teams were competing for national championships, winning their conferences year in and year out, sending players to the NFL. You had the polarizing Steve Spurrier on one sideline and the all shucks dadgummit Bobby Bowden on the other sideline, and they just the personalities were just perfect for a rivalry because they were just so polar opposite of each other, but still putting the best teams on the field week in and week out, year in and year out there in the 90s. So it really ramped it up. Too bad it's not there now. It seems when one team's up, the other's down now, and they've been flip-flopping a little bit. Now both are down. And Florida's coming into the game with a head coach that's fired now. So we'll see where it goes. But as you said, we did miss it last year. I had all those SEC games for Florida and all the ACC games for FSU. And we did miss it last year. You get it back this year. But as I said, for the Florida side, they're just worried about who the next head coach is going to be.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Both teams were trying to get to a bowl game. And it's fascinating. With Florida, you guys at one point was ranked 10th in the country, and Florida State was 0-4. And
right.
Everybody wanted Mike Norvell to get fired, and they were talking about bringing Bob Stoops in, and they want this person, that person, and now Florida State's like knocking on the door, getting ready to be 6-6, and now this is something totally different for the Florida State-Florida rivalry game. winner goes to the bowl game next, and the loser goes play golf, or they'll be at the Tallahassee Masters, sitting on the couch.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, for Florida, I don't know what a bowl game really does with a lame duck staff, and I guess the players should want to go get those nice bowl gifts. That's the big part of that right now, and those bowl games. So go out there, and if you want to go get a bowl game, go get you some nice bowl gifts. And but look, these players know each other. They grew up with each other. They played, elementary school, middle school, high school football against each other, or they're really good friends, or something like that. These guys grew up playing against each other, so they have that rivalry probably from before. Or they were friends before, and now they're rivals, or there's just a lot of relationships here in this in-state rivalry between Florida and Florida State. So, it's still, and because we missed it last year, it's still going to be looked forward to this year. It being a home game for Florida, and one more time to send these seniors, this team out, see them again. One more time for these players to play for this staff again as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm a big Met fan, and I see blue and orange. I'm thinking, all right. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's Gator colors. Why am I? But it's like it's fascinating for seasons. You can see my mother goes. My mother told me, like, I could tell in September you start changing over to Florida State stuff. And then my brother Matt's been a Gator fan since he was like 5 or 6, and he was been back there watching the games against Auburn and all that stuff. And he was like, he always keeps that color. And I walk in the house going, I should like that color, but is it baseball season? Yeah, But I talked to Steve Spurrier a couple of years ago, 2019 at the ACC. He was a legend for Duke, and I asked him, and then I asked him about this Florida State-Florida rivalry, and he's like, man, it was one tough cookie. We just whoever won it, we busted our teeth out, and I forgot what the whole story was, but it was great to talk to Spurrier and asked him about it, because I talked to Jimmy Johnson over the summer, and he's like, yeah, Bobby Bowden used to beat the tar out of me. The first game he put, I coached against Bobby Bowden. He put somebody in reverse, and I didn't know how to get that guy, and then all of a sudden, like years later, Bobby Bowden passed away this year, bless his soul. Saw Jimmy Johnson and looked at Barry Switzer and goes, see that SOB over there? Caught me 4 national championship games. Reporting at Jimmy Johnson, but this is what college football is. It's rivalries, and you got all these these schools playing each other. You're trying to guess what cup you're playing. Florida and Florida State playing for the Sunshine Showdown or the Gator Head. After the game is over. Like some places like Georgia Tech and Georgia is like old fashioned hate. Yeah, it's like, okay, do you have a trophy or what? It's fascinating, and this is.
I think this one may have something. I know the Governor's Cup too. Maybe I think.
I think Kentucky and Louisville has the Governor's Cup. But it's fun to see these schools play each other and like, oh, you have a cup, okay. So
going back to the 90s, it was also fun too, because this was always it always set up a big end of year for Florida, because it was Florida State, and then always most of the time in the 90s, Florida had an SEC championship game to go play the very next week as well. So Florida was playing Florida State, and then the next week having to go play Alabama, or having to go for most of the time, or having to go play Arkansas or Mississippi State the very next week, whoever's representing the SEC West on that side. So it always set up big end of seasons for Florida. And they just couldn't really look ahead to that SEC championship game, because they had a top 3 FSU team they had to go play every time in the 90s. So it's not where it used to be. Of course, as I said, a lot of stuff going on at Florida, but with the 2 teams not playing last year, and a lot of Gator fans felt like, hey, we missed that opportunity, especially last year when you had a high-flying offense with Trask and Pitts and Tony, and it's like, oh, man, we missed that chance to put another 40 points on FSU. Well, now you may not get the chance this year. If you do score 40, you're probably giving up 40 as well. I can see this game really, really turning into a shootout Saturday night. Saturday at noon. Yeah.
I got to ask you, that Stanford game a couple of weeks ago, were you hiding underneath the bench or something? Because that was like, my brother texted me, who's the Miami fan, he goes, Florida's losing by such and such to Stanford. I'm like, no, it's Stanford in Alabama. It's not Stanford. Yeah. It's Stanford. And the quarterback back then was Bobby Bowden, and it was Jimbo Fisher back in the day. And he goes, wow. He goes, that's pretty interesting. I was like, yeah. And he goes, and Coach Mullen didn't get fired after that game. I guess he gets fired after the SEC game. I guess they waited for the losing to Missouri.
Yeah. Sanford, they won the game 70-52, but you let Sanford score 52 points. It feels like a loss. That's this is because Florida had gotten blown out by South Carolina the week before as well. The defense just wasn't really getting it done. Todd Grantham gets fired. They make some changes at defensive coordinator. They change offensive line coach John Hevesy as well. So it was their first game without Todd Grantham at defensive coordinator. But you're Florida. You're playing Sanford. You have me on the sideline calling the defense, and you still should hold them to 14 points there. So that was an inexcusable performance there for Florida, no matter the changes that were going on. Then Missouri a week later, and overtime win for Missouri there over Florida, and that was basically the final straw there that did Dan Mullen in with his career at Florida. But you go back and look at it, it's just, as I said, the recruiting was never at the level to keep up with Georgia and Alabama on a consistent level. A lot of the off-field issues too. You go to a lot of the weird press conferences over the last couple of years with Dan Mullen, and then a lot of the things that you could count on for him to win these close games, develop a quarterback, have his team play discipline, a lack of penalties, a lack of turnovers. All that stuff was showing up this year. Things you could count on, you can no longer count on this year. And when it was all said and done, you combine all that stuff, and that's why Dan Mullen won't be coaching Saturday.
That's true. Well, real quick, I want to ask you, what did you hear from the grapevine? I know you're in with the program. You hear a lot of stuff. Who's the top candidate for the Gators?
I'd say right now, Billy Napier, the coach at Louisiana. He was an assistant under Nick Saban in Alabama for a few years. Now he's at Louisiana, winning 10 games there for the Raging Cajuns. And they had that big upset win versus Iowa State to kick off 2020 last year as well. So they're in the Sun Belt. They'll be playing in the Sun Belt Championship coming up. There's always a rivalry between them and App State. There in the Sun Belt, but he's really raised their recruiting profile for as good as you can raise it for a Sun Belt program there. So he's probably one of the names to look out for. Lane Kiffin, Bob Stoops, I think are going to be names. The retired Bob Stoops. Can you get him to come out of retirement and coach the Gators with his connection? We're sitting here talking about the '90s Gators a little bit. He was the defensive coordinator, of course, for the Gators in the '90s under Spurrier before he went to go coach Oklahoma for the national championship games and winning a national championship there too. And the wild card of Lane Kiffin, I think it would take some things to happen. I think Florida would have to miss out on a couple guys. I'm not sure the administration, the old money at Florida would go for a crazy guy like Kiffin, as they probably would say it. But I think he's a wild card to watch out for. I think his X's and O's, what he could do at Florida and some of the talent he could get there would really, send some shockwaves in the SEC. But right now, I'd have to pinpoint it to Billy Napier there at Louisiana.
That's cool. Well, I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy the game on Saturday. It's 12 noon on ESPN. It was 12 noon for Florida State, Florida. It's not that great. I like the 3:30, 7:30 games, but we'll take 12 noon.
Yeah, and ESPN, that noon slot for them still pretty important. So that's at least it's not on Nickelodeon or something like that. So
yeah, exactly. Well, have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll keep in touch.
You guys too.
All right, see you, man. Bye.
See ya.
All right, folks. That's Florida State, Florida, Saturday afternoon at 12 noon on ESPN. So I guess at my parents' dinner, I think my brother Matt might be in one side of the table, and I'll be.
Do I gotta bring my striped shirt again?
Bring the striped shirt. So
I'll have to make sure I bring my flag as well, so that way I can give out the penalties.
Exactly. Well, folks, thanks for joining us on our Thanksgiving program. We'll see you guys next Tuesday here at 7:30. We'll be back here getting ready for championship week next week. So you got the ACC championship game. We'll find out who's going to be there next week. And then you got the Big Ten championship game. We'll see who's going to be there as well. So, hopefully it'll be a great show. Thanks for joining us. November 30th at 7:30. So we'll see you guys there next week. For George Machura and for Steve Zehyoue, I'm Chris Heidel. Thanks for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving for everybody. And we'll leave you now I always leave you with the program with here's Adam Sandler doing the Thanksgiving song. Have a great.
Oh boy.
They want to hear the Thanksgiving song. All right. This is a Thanksgiving song. I hope you enjoy it. Love to eat turkey. Love to eat Turkey, I love you. Love to eat turkey, 'cause it's good. Love to eat turkey like a good boy should, 'cause it's turkey to eat. So good. That clapping's messing my head up, man. I appreciate it, but I was trying to